Our next three guests join forces to continue the story of a character we met almost 17 years ago. And we love them to the world between worlds and back for it. Yep, I'm talking about Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and Rosario Dawson.
Tell me one of those stories. Your choice.
Very well. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Goodness.
Wow, wow.
Welcome, welcome. My goodness. My goodness. I gotta say hello to the chief creative now.
Okay. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah, man. Oh, how's it feel to be back at Celebration?
Really good. Yeah. I mean, my God, look. Everywhere you see, has it ever been this big? Has it ever been this big? I don't know.
No. I heard this is highest attendance we've had in a while. Yeah, it's big show. Big show. You guys fill seats. What can I say?
And what was I hearing that you were saying the factoid yesterday? Like 78% of the attendees are new?
Are y'all new to Celebration?
Some of y'all are new to Celebration?
Oh my goodness.
That is so cool.
Yeah. Have we been living up to your expectations so far? Oh my goodness, happy to hear it. It's lovely to have the three of you back. You know, since Ahsoka, you've continued working together on a couple titles. How's it feel to be coming back and doing these projects together? What keeps you collaborating like this?
Well, Dave has a lot of stories to tell with this character. He's been working with Ahsoka for over a decade, starting off with collaborating when Ahsoka was just a little Padawan with George Lucas. And now seeing all of it come to fruition is really quite a treat. This is they're about to start shooting in, about a week?
A week, yeah, maybe less.
In about a week, and
oh man,
the sets are all built and the costumes are made, and it's going to be spectacular.
Oh, how are you feeling, Rosario? You getting hyped?
Oh my God, I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling ready. Very excited.
I gotta tell you, Rosario. You know, like everybody who's a fan of Star Wars, I love the beautiful choreography of the fights and of all the physical work. And I have to say, to the three of you, I think the duel between you and Diana Lee Inosanto is maybe one of the top fight scenes in all of Star Wars. What did y'all think about that fight?
It was such a tease in The Mandalorian to fight with her, and I remember her with the staff, and every time she'd come in and that ting before she went into the movement, and you know her history and working with the family of Bruce Lee and
she's
all of
one of the greats.
I mean, it made the entire experience just feel so real and masterful. So to be able to play with her again in Ahsoka was just such a dream come true.
Yeah, and it must have been fun for you as somebody who came up in theater, and you are just an amazing dancer, performer. That must have been an amazing thing to jump into these sort of intense fight scenes too, and use all of that training.
I love getting to this point now where I've been using my left hand to eat with chopsticks now. Because I've become so ambidextrous, it's like secondhand. My daughter's a lefty, and so she would watch me in the beginning, but now it's actually something I gesticulate with my left hand, and anytime I'm doing any training and I do too much with one arm, the other arm wants to kind of come in. I'm so used to doing the stances with both, and I love that because it's, we didn't have that guaranteed. We were getting a second season, and if I could tell anything to myself, it was like, don't stop training, believe, have faith. Because you know, getting back into it has just been so intense. But I love that muscle memory that's come in. It's, you know, I really was talking about it. Those first initial fights with Diana, it's going on like 6 years.
You're a Jedi now, baby.
Yeah, it feels really, really good. Yeah, it feels good. And it's nice because, you know, again, you know, Anakin, you know, Hayden's very heavy-handed.
God.
So it was good to have all that practice and rehearsal.
And, you know, Hayden, we had Hayden out on the first day, and he was talking about how wonderful it was to be doing this with you because y'all came up together in theater school. You've known each other for a very long time.
Yeah, we knew each other as teenagers. I have to say that's like my favorite Star Wars moment was going and seeing the prequels and seeing him in them because I had met him as a teenager, seen him in acting class, knew what such a lovely human being he was. So the work he put into coming off as this Darth Lord was incredible. And I remember just thinking like how magical. I could have never imagined that this amazing young man who had come from Canada to do acting class. Scarlett Johansson was in the class just behind us. I met her when she was 10.
What?
And, yeah. And so like to see him on the stage and you know, on the screen, and then to be able to have him come back and play with him, I think it was one of the most incredible moments for Dave to see that we've known each other and there's a history, there's actual photographs of us young, embracing each other and loving on each other. So I think it's really special because that's one part of the aspect that we just do not have to pretend.
Yeah.
That relationship is very deeply embedded there, and I'm so grateful he's coming back for the second season.
Amazing. And, you know, Dave, this is a character, Anakin is a character that you have been working with since Go at Lucasfilm. You know, we've been talking about the 20th anniversary of Lucasfilm Animation this year, and one of your big jobs and sort of one of your sort of guiding lights of Clone Wars was to show the empathy for Anakin Skywalker. And how has it been to kind of be able to continue that story into live action and keep making these stories about that character?
Yeah, I think a very clear line I draw for myself, though, is that Anakin's story was already told. George did that. I don't have to add anything to that. I don't have to explain anything about it. What George did is what he wanted, and it's perfect. The story I'm telling is about Ahsoka. The reason why Anakin can be in this is because he's relative to her story. But I'm very careful in what I'm doing that I'm not, you know, changing or adjusting anything that George did. I understand a lot of it because I work with George, and we worked together. When we did the Clone Wars, it was very much the goal of saying, well, how was Anakin challenged? How does he get from where he is in 2 to 3? And I had George with me to tell that story. So I was very confident in anything I was doing that he was there to put guardrails on it. You know, through that, I developed a really good understanding of the character, you know, and I watched George sit there and create dialogue. George would come in, I'd meet him at like 7 in the morning. He's an early guy. Reading the paper, I'd get him up at Big Rock Ranch and then would walk over to the editorial room. And we would spend all day from like 8 in the morning then to like 11 at night editing episodes of the Clone Wars. And we would sit there and rewrite dialogue together, hit pitch dialogue. We'd try it out in the cut, we'd watch it. And I just saw the love that he had for his characters, but I also saw how he crafted it. And so I've kept that through today, but it was a real gift to watch him create these lines. And you're just sitting there and you go, yeah, that's the guy that, right? I mean, every line you know, do or not, there is no try, who's more foolish, the fool who follows him, like all of these things that you grew up and it sticks with you. And I saw it happen. And so I just carried that forward and said, this is Anakin, the young man who wanted to be a teacher a bit, who had a responsibility. Her whole goal was, as a youngling, though she didn't know it, was to try to keep him on a path and let him let go of her, that he would learn to let go of attachments by having a student, that Yoda and Obi-Wan thought maybe Anakin will get it then, that she can grow up and take care of herself. But he never really fully realizes that in the end because he cares about her so much. That's Anakin's thing. He's compassionate, and he turns that compassion, but he tries to hold on too tight to people around him, and then it turns into anger because he's not trusting people enough. He's not trusting them in their own instincts enough. You know, he's a good person that ends up doing very bad things. And that's something that we've talked a long time about. Like, Ahsoka's a good person, but that doesn't mean she's not incapable of doing bad things. We're all capable of that. And so that's the lesson of a Jedi. That was what it means to be a Jedi, to let go and let your selfless persona take over and learn that doing things for other people feels better and is better ultimately than doing things for yourself.
Yes.
That's what Jedi should focus on. Yeah.
And in the first season, you really did, I feel like all of the characters did learn a certain amount of that lesson, right? The entire crew was thrown together sort of against their will. You know, you have Ezra, who is trying to take care of things but needed help himself. You know, all of these characters coming back together. How did that feel to kind of like bring those relationships with those other characters to life and sort of go through those lessons?
I mean, I think really incredible. There were so many different pinch me moments that we were having on set, you know, about how perfectly cast everybody was. I mean, Natasha is Sabine.
Yes.
Like, it is really crazy. And, you know, and to have her be someone where we get to see an evolution in their relationship, that was something that we talk about. And I love hearing you say what you're, you know, the dynamic between Ahsoka and Anakin. It's something that she leads with immediately with Sabine. You know, as Sabine is trying so hard to be a Jedi and trying so hard that Hu Yang is also giving her a really hard time about. And, you know, she's trying so hard, but what, you know, Ahsoka has learned and is trying to pass on to her is that you just have to be you. Like, bring who you are to this, you know, and that's something that she had to develop and learn about herself. And I think that's one of the things that's so beautiful about what this, you know, this generation of characters, you know, as rebels, you know, in the animation coming here, this resonates generationally in such a different way as folks who didn't just follow the status quo and follow along in the journey that they were, the path that was just given before them. They're making their a very strong individual choices, and they're doing it with attachment, as a family, as friends. You know, and I think it adds a whole other different quality and dimension that I think is incredibly relevant to today and how we see ourselves, and not just going by what we think we're supposed to do, but what we know in our heart we need to do.
Yes.
And that's something that, you know, I think we all grapple with in the choices that we make and the repercussions that can come from that. It's what makes it so alive. You know, and all of us are a part of it. Just take it so seriously because we love these characters. We love the journey that they've been on, and the fact that it continues is absolutely magical. And again, I'm just going to say over and over again, probably, thank you to all the fans. When we couldn't promote the first season, you were there at, you know, premieres around the world. We didn't even get told about it. I watched it on, like, spring up on social media. You know, it's because of you that we get to have this second season. And you all recognize and know that a title, it's not about a title. You don't need the title to be a Jedi. I am no Jedi. Mm-hmm. You are a Jedi in how you choose to be, and all of you live it every single day, and it's been so beautiful being here just before we start filming a week from now and having this energy. I'm going to bring it back to the whole crew and the cast when we start next week.
Amazing. And, you know, something that I do think is wonderful is you are taking familiar characters, we are seeing the way that they've grown, but you did something very interesting at the end of last season. It's always been a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And now it is galaxies far, far away. There was such a huge shock. And I feel like this is one of those things where you're dropping a pebble in the water and you're waiting to see how it ripples. What made you go to a different galaxy at the end of last season?
I didn't go. Ezra went, and that wasn't my fault. Like, I didn't know. It took a while to find him. I said, "What are you doing over there?" But it's in certain star charts, so it's not like I made that up. If you pay attention in the movies, you'll actually see it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm actually referencing something that was there already. It makes sense. I mean, there are other galaxies, so why not? It was a good place to hide him. Mm-hmm. Everyone kept looking on the map. I'm like, yeah, he's not there. So that was, like, I have to have my own fun with everyone because they have fun with me, and that's fair. I just thought it was interesting because I wanted to show there was something very different. I wanted to change the visual dynamic a bit. And so there's a lot of new things that we'll encounter when we're there. So it serves a purpose. It delves into a deeper thing that I like about Star Wars, which is like when they're in the Yavin Temple, well, whoa, what's that about? Mm-hmm. What's that building about? What does that mean? How are they inheriting that? Ralph McQuarrie did a bunch of paintings that were like really old things. Star Wars has a rich, deep history where you feel it's been there for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So I started asking, well, what happened thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago? Are the witches something that preceded the Jedi?
Right.
Is that why they don't like the Jedi? Are they a different culture and the way they look at the Force? Do they interact with it in a different way? And so you start to draw on like real things and how religions come in and destroy other religions and different things, you know, come over top of each other and destroy things. And in a history of a galaxy, of course you would have that. So you start asking yourself to look at all of these relationships in a different way. And being in a different galaxy affords me the ability to really take big swings and not interfere with the galaxy that we know, right?
Right.
And so I can take chances, and you will see things you've never seen before. You will encounter things that you've never seen before. And I find that really exciting. And as much as we're doing that on one side of the story, there's another side of the story that will be very familiar to you as a big, I'll just say what it is, because they came all this way, and I know what they really want to talk about, which is what's in season 2. So half of it is a really, really big battle.
Yeah.
There's going to be a war in our Star Wars, like an all-out throwdown on a scale, as best as I can do it, as best as Jon and I can afford it, because we want that, and Thrawn will be involved. We will see a lot more of him. You'll see a lot more of Ezra. You'll see a lot more of Hera. Is gonna get back into it, and she'll be much more directly part of the action. Because you guys made such a big deal about it, I put a lot more Chopper in. And so, yes, a lot more Chopper. And because of the way you guys are about it, he does some really messed up stuff. I don't know why he does these things, but they all seem to like it. And then because you guys asked for it, and because Jon's been playing with him so much and I want my toy back, we put Zeb and Ahsoka now. So you get the whole action figure series, the whole play set's available to you in season 2. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. And you have been training really hard. I've been watching. So get ready for that, because it's exciting when we see what you're gonna do.
I cannot wait. Is there anything that you would like to say to the fans before we go? I know that you have seen over the last couple years how important this character is and how wonderful Ahsoka is.
I just, it's so interesting, actually being able to experience it firsthand. I remember being at a con many years ago, and Carrie Fisher was there. And it was so beautiful because it was like this whole group of people, and we all wrapped for the night. All the booths were shutting down, and she was sitting in this chair with fans wrapped still around the entire area, like auditorium. And she stayed there with her little dog on her lap, signing for everybody. And I remember just like, it was so palpable to everyone. As we were walking around, we kept saying, like, there's nothing like the family of Star Wars. And this energy and the beauty, it was just so beautiful. And for me, I couldn't have ever imagined that in some way, shape, or form, Princess Leia and I would fangirl over each other and have the same moment. But I saw her later that night, and I talked to her about it. And she kind of was like with her dog and kind of like, okay, I'm tired, And I was like, cool, and I walked away, and I went to leave her alone. And I'll never forget this moment. My uncle's a comic book artist, and we were together, and he was inside the hotel. And as I walked through, he was standing inside, and his eyes got really big. And I turned around, and she came running back in and was like, my assistant just told me who you were, and reminded me of like this project that I loved you in. And she just started like gushing, and I remember I started tearing up and just going, this is not the way this is supposed to go. This is just, the adulation is all for you. And I could never, watching Hayden on the big screen, meeting her, getting to work with Mark Hamill, like there's just so many moments that are some of the most precious moments I've ever had in my career. And now as a fan, because I wouldn't be doing this character if it wasn't for the fans. Boss Logic did a picture of me as a fan cast. All of you guys posted it. He saw it. I ended up getting the cast. There's so much about it. When we couldn't promote this show, you promoted it and made it possible for us to have our second season. You bring this world to life every single day. You live it and breathe it. It is not just a fantasy, it is a way of life. And I really, really appreciate the passion and love that you bring to it, because that is what inspires us every single day on set.
Oh my goodness.
So this is your show. Star Wars has always been about all of you. Always, intergenerationally.
That's so wonderful.
So
I know they feel the same way about all of you. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Thank you for talking, Ahsoka. We have even more Star Wars Celebration Live coming up. Let's check it out, shall we? Hey, One more round of applause for our...